MonsterBuild, the Millau Viaduct, France, 343 meters at its peak, 7 pillars spanning the Tarn Valley Gorge, the tallest vehicular bridge ever constructed. And it took 3 years to build. This is the full story. The problem that created this bridge was a traffic jam. Every summer, tens of thousands of cars driving south from Paris toward the Mediterranean had to descend into the Tarn Valley, pass through the small town of Millau, and climb back out the other side. The town's roads were designed for a few thousand people. At peak summer, the backup stretched for kilometers. Drivers sat in the heat for hours. The A75 highway had a missing link, a gap right over this gorge. Engineers studied the problem for years. The obvious solution was a bridge, but the gorge is enormous. The Tarn River runs through it 270 meters below the highway level on either side. A conventional bridge would require piers of extraordinary height. The solution they chose was not just to build the tallest bridge in the world. It was to make it beautiful while doing it. They hired Norman Foster, one of the most celebrated architects alive, to design it. Foster's design was radical for infrastructure. Most highway bridges look like infrastructure. Millau was designed to look like it was floating. 7 slender concrete pylons would rise from the valley floor, each one topped by a thin steel mast carrying the cable stays that support the deck. The proportions were calculated so the bridge would appear almost weightless from below. The engineering had to serve the aesthetics, not the other way around. The foundations went first. Each of the 7 pier bases required excavation into the valley floor and the construction of a massive concrete caisson sunk into the bedrock. The geological conditions in the Tarn Valley were not uniform. Each pier site had different rock types, different depths to bedrock, different load-bearing characteristics. Each foundation was essentially a custom engineering solution. The survey work alone took over a year before any concrete was poured. Once the piers were built, and the tallest of them rises 245 meters from the valley floor, the deck could begin. This is where the engineering became extraordinary. You cannot build false work, meaning temporary support structures, across a gorge this wide and this deep. The solution was incremental launching. They constructed the deck sections on rollers on the plateau on either side of the valley and pushed them out into midair. Each section weighed approximately 2,000 tons. They were moved forward in precise increments, sometimes as little as 5 meters per day, while engineers monitored the stress on the leading edge of the cantilever. As the deck extended further over the gorge, the forces on the concrete and steel became increasingly extreme. GPS sensors tracked the position of the leading edge to millimeter accuracy. The slightest deviation could have caused a catastrophic failure. They did this from both sides simultaneously, 2 enormous cantilevers growing toward each other from opposite sides of the valley, both of them unsupported in the middle, both of them being pushed out over 270 meters of empty air. When they finally met in December 2003, the alignment was essentially perfect. The 2 halves connected within centimeters. The GPS had worked. There is a phenomenon at Millau that nobody fully anticipated. On certain mornings, the Tarn Valley fills with fog. The fog sits below the deck of the bridge, completely obscuring the valley floor and the lower portions of the pylons. Drivers on the bridge travel in clear sunlight while the world below them has disappeared into white. The road appears to float on nothing. Local photographers have captured images of Millau that look like science fiction. It has become one of the most photographed bridges on Earth. Bridge opened on December 16, 2004. Cost, €400 million. Construction time, 3 years. It immediately eliminated the Millau bottleneck. Journey times from Paris to the Mediterranean dropped significantly. The A75 became one of the most pleasant drives in France. Millau, the town, which had suffered every summer for decades, suddenly found itself on the route to what many consider the most beautiful engineering structure in the world. The Millau Viaduct is operated as a toll road under a concession agreement that runs until 2079. The French government will then take full ownership. It carries around 10,000 vehicles on an average day, more than 25,000 at summer peak. Engineers estimate it will stand for at least 120 years before any major structural intervention is required. Norman Foster called it a work of art. The engineers who built it called it the hardest thing they had ever done. Follow MonsterBuild for the full story behind every structure that changes what you think is possible. Link in bio.